Good afternoon, everybody. Apologies for the wind in the background. My name is Ben Austin and I'm calling from Mount Aquila in New South Wales in Australia. I am an Aboriginal lawman, someone who practices the old ways of culture, and Mount Aquila has a great, my actually first visit here, and it's sitting high above the ranges and has a view in it that's quite amazing, 800 meters above sea level, in a land that's in an old country that's pretty high for Australia's standards, out in the parts where I live. And it is an amazing, energetic place spiritually. And Aquila in Latin terms means eagle, which is quite fitting because this is where eagles fly and nest. Just down the road from this land is a village called Mullion Creek, which is the indigenous word in our Wiradjuri tribal local tribe here, language for eagle as well, called Mullion Creek. So it holds great significance. These are great hints to the past of our culture. So holding great significance to the land is the eagle, just like in any culture, particularly in places like South America. So he's the totem animal of our god, who we call Bayemi. So this is an incredible place to be for an Aboriginal lawman. The energy is amazing. It's clear. It is about 28 degrees. When I travel back down the hill, half an hour from here, it'll be about 35 degrees. So it's a nice little respite from the heat. So what I want to talk about is just my journey of late as a lawman and as an individual. I'll talk about my professional life in the world. I work at a correctional centre. I'm dealing with a lot of Aboriginal inmates there, and Aboriginal people incarcerated in Australia at a higher rate than the apartheid era in South Africa. So half the population of where I work of inmates are Aboriginal. So the reason I'm saying this is because I believe the secret and to reintegration and to become healthy members in the community is to bring them back into their culture, back into their law. At the moment at the prison, there's only services spiritually that deal with Christianity and Buddhism. But what Aboriginal people really need is to connect back to their land and know their culture again. And a place like Mount Aquila gives you that long view, like looking over the ocean. It calms your spirit, stills the mind, and shows you the big picture. And which I need when I'm working in such a tough environment like a correctional centre. It's not a great positive environment for making great change in people's lives, but hopefully there's a focus moving forward into reintegration into the community for a lot of inmates when they finish their sentences. And part of that reintegration, I believe, is overlooked is spirituality. Everyone needs spirituality. Aboriginal people have a majority have been ripped from their culture in the last 200 years, and it's whilst there's no judgment towards Christianity and Buddhism, Aboriginal people really need to come back to what is their identity for their spiritual strength for their culture. You're talking of 70,000 years of spirituality. It's an incredible achievement for humanity. It's the oldest living culture. Before the English arrived and colonised Australia, Aboriginal people were living here in practicing their culture and spirituality for, like I said, over 60,000 years, even more. And so it's only been 200 plus years since. A lot of it was, you know, Aboriginal people weren't allowed to by law to practice their spirituality or even speak their language. So I think the healing path for Indigenous people and non-Indigenous people is getting back to our early roots of humans. So Aboriginal people are not just a story about, Aboriginal people. coming back to their culture. It's a story about we all belong to the human race, and our oldest living culture is there to teach us our roots, and we need those roots in the world right now with everything that's happening. So if we can come back into that old knowledge system, because the old Aboriginal knowledge system, even payback and war was all ritualized. People respected each other, they respected each other's spaces. Humans have never been perfect, but the law was pretty much the closest to a utopian society as they strive to create. And Aboriginal people, history tells it. To keep a culture going for 70,000 years and not being war-torn, people not fighting for land, everyone had respect for Mother Earth and they respected each other's place. There was thousands of dialects, who knows, across Australia, hundreds spoken, so it was kind of like Europe, but everyone got along in peace and harmony. Why was that? Because they listened to the voice of Mother Earth, they put her first, it was a matriarchal society, and they also had a great connection with the sky above. Our Father, very similar to Wira culture, Bayemi, another name for God, in our culture. So Mount Aquila, where I'm standing right now, looking out over this amazing view. I wish I could show it, but I can't get the video for it. For me is, I can see lots of treeless hills, when a lot of early colonizing days where everything was, all the trees were chopped down because the main emphasis was farming the land. But the spirit and energy never dies, it's still here. Regardless of what's happening on the physical underneath, that spiritual law of our Aboriginal culture is still strong and present and waiting for people to come back and reactivate their connection to such an amazing culture. So I want to reiterate, whether you're Aboriginal in this lifetime or not, we're not talking about your skin colour here. Everyone needs to come back to the old ways in order to, as a society, survive and move forward, because these are trying times. And if we come back to these old ideals, we're going to respect the earth, we're going to respect each other, the resources, we're going to have a deeper relationship with all living things, and it's just amazing. Life will be much more illuminating as a collective. So standing here from this view, it makes me think about my role in my work at the Correctional Centre, and speaking to some amazing people around me, how amazing it would be if we could get Aboriginal chaplain into our system, where there is half the inmates Aboriginal, to lead everyone back to their original place, where they would feel holistically held again in who they are as a person. And it's back to oneness of self. The individual's own healing journey adds to the greater collective healing. So that's where I think we need to start in our own backyard in every country. That's Australia's vision. I think in every part of the land there's Indigenous peoples. It's building that bridge back and gaining greater respect for our past history, because we're all Indigenous, we're all human, we all come from Indigenous roots. And I'm just so privileged to be in the land that holds the continuous lineage for 70,000 plus years. That's what an achievement. You want to think about humanity and what we've achieved, I can't think of a better achievement. To live in peace and harmony for that long means that you must have been doing something right. And they put the law of the land first. That was Mother Earth's way. They loved her intensely and they looked after her intensely, because their connection was so deep that they didn't have to try hard to do that. It's just a natural thing. And so with this in danger of being, in the last 200 years, being lost, it never is lost in the essence of what it's all about, the essence of the real culture. because in the lands like this where I'm standing, Mount Aquila, the energy never dies. It's waiting to be received, it's waiting for an open heart, and it's waiting for it to be reborn again, and that it will. But it does take everyone to make a conscious effort to walk their own spiritual path, go on their own walkabout, is what we call an Aboriginal society. When someone goes on a journey to know thyself, to get to know who they are, and figure out what is their purpose of being human, and what is your interconnectedness, what is your role, to take away that narcissism of our age and come back into connection and find our place in what is our role. Treat more animals with respect again. They were so admired and loved in our culture. They were held in higher regard than humans because they were here before us. So we've got a lot to learn from all cultures of the world who hold this lineage. And that's the big part of education, what I believe Noemi's doing, is bringing that old knowledge and integrating the modern knowledge, which is amazing. We're still making great achievements as humans. We can't discard who we are now because we're still doing great things. But I think it's time to marry both our scientific ways with our old ways, which was old science. And really think about, as an individual, you can make a difference to the world moving forward by just going on your own healing journey and being open-minded to bridge that gap. It might seem insurmountable at times with what's going on in the world, but if everyone had the attitude to change and find out more about their roots and come back to the land and listen to the land, love the land, spending time in it builds a connection. That connection grows, and then you get a new voice, and it's beyond words. It's called feeling. And with that feeling place, you can understand your place. And when you understand your place, I believe a peace comes with that, and a presence. And that presence also teaches. You don't always need words to teach. And I learned that from my ancestors here and my elders here. We can all play our part. Everyone has a part to play, and it's just being yourself and beginning that journey of self-discovery and sharing through presence, not just words. So it's always an honor to share with people about my culture. It's always an honor to sit here in a beautiful place of nature and remember my place, because I get lost too in the world if I'm just working all the time and I don't give back to my spirit and go and sit in nature and get the bigger picture and listen to that feeling and feel that feeling center and listen. Then, I become a part of that collective that is not adding to the healing picture of where we're going. So that's my part. My responsibility is to stay clear, stay connected, and be a presence for people who are ready to receive, and encourage them and walk with them. Because that bridge has to be built together. We're like the children of the rainbow, and here we call it the rainbow serpent. He brought the fresh waters here for us, created rivers, he gave us life. And there's a song I heard recently, we make the colours of the rainbow serpent coming back to the light one by one. So regardless of what culture you're from, it's time to come back to our original nature. Because without that original nature, which brings humility and knowing thy place, you can only go so far before you fall. And I believe collectively we've lost our roots, and that's why where we are right now, I believe we don't want to avoid that big fall together, and we need to go back and find our humility and roots and remember who we are truly and what's our responsibility. Then together we can move forward. So coming back into the root and then growing again, making sure we're watering our spirit, and then hopefully the next generation that we can take through at a younger age, it grows stronger and stronger and then becomes second nature again. But this is not an easy walk, as we can see around the world, what's happening at the moment. It's not going to happen unless we all take responsibility and play our part. It doesn't have to be big, you don't have to start a revolution. The message of Mount Aquila is just to keep on searching and growing your spirit. And when when you don't need to search any longer, like I don't, and you found your place, you found what feeds and nourish your spirit. That's all you need to do, because when you're fed and nourished, you have the big picture. You know what to do, you know where to go, and we're adding to that new collective image, the new collective vision, that utopian society we can strive for. We may never achieve it, but there's nothing wrong with striving for that, like our old people did here. And we can learn from everyone, from our culture and cultures all over the world, on how to proceed forward and stay connected in our roots and in humility. A favourite saying of mine that I've heard recently, and it's not of mine, sorry, it's of Oglala Sioux chief, and he said, a Native American man, he said, we should be lower than all things. We should be like water, which is lower than all things, yet stronger than even the rocks. So that's a quote to basically say, the more roots you have in the earth, the more humility you have, and you move away from that seeking power game, then you are stronger than all things, meaning no matter how high you go as a race or as an individual, you will still be connected and we will not fall, because we have strong roots. And we can basically achieve anything from that space. So that means a lot to me, that quote, because it's very similar to the way we view the world here in Aboriginal Australia. Thank you very much for the opportunity to share, and I hope everyone is well and happy and finds their nice little spot in nature to remind them of their place in the big picture. Thank you very much.